Count them, not one, not two, but three of these 1662 Book of Common Prayer International editions from IVP. Why do I have three of them? Is it because I'm starting my own Anglican church? No. We'll come back to why. But for now, we'll just look at one of them. This was sent to me by MAMO, Moving About and Manipulating Objects, here on YouTube. And he asked, hey, would you review it? I'd love to see your review of it. So here you are, brother. Sorry it's taken so long. So what is this? Well, IVP has taken the 1662 Book of Common Prayer, done a little light editing to the language to make it more readable to modern readers, although it's still that very Elizabethan King James style English with these and thous and ye's, and it's an international edition because, like prayers for the Queen, etc., they've more generalized that, so this is usable to anyone around the world. And that's basically it. If you're familiar with the traditional prayer books like the 1662, etc., this will feel very familiar. It is quite large. Here's a standard edition of the Book of Common Prayer, 1662. This is a lot larger, but also you're getting larger type, thicker paper. This is very nicely printed. Got a yellow paste down liner. This is kind of a bluish green, by the way, with a gold embossed cross. Very nice. Book of Common Prayer International Edition. And it's got, it's got the Psalter. It's got all the usual elements that you'd expect to see. And this was done, was this last year or the year before? 2021, last year. Let's look at morning prayer. And one thing you'll notice, and this was something MAMO really loved about it, the rubrics are in red. So that's very nice. And then we have this big red W starting a sentence. Just very beautiful. And not much ghosting. You can see some ghosting, but it is not a problem. Very opaque, very thick paper. Very nicely printed. This is a stellar edition. I forget what these go for. I want to say around $20 new, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think they're well worth it. I think my only real complaint after spending a little time with it and trying it out is, and you can see it right here in the Psalms. So let's say I'm looking for a specific psalm. I just happen to be open to 119 here. Let's say I'm looking for Psalm 100. Psalm 100. Well, nowhere on the corners or the top does it say what psalm you're on. So, you have to really be looking for it. So there's 106. So you're not going to be able to quickly find a specific psalm. If you're just praying them in order every day, and you're keeping a bookmark, then fine. But there it is, Jubilate Deo. But if you just, I want to pray Psalm 100, you're not going to have an easy time finding it. And I kind of wondered if that was just something unique to the 1662. But if you look at the standard edition from the Church of England, here's Psalm 119. I keep opening to Psalm 119. It is the largest psalm. There it is in the top outside corner. So you can easily find Psalm 100, right? I just keep going till I go a little too far. And here we go, Psalm 100. It's 101. Psalm 100. There we go. I'm looking through the camera, but you see what I mean. I think it would be great if IVP added, having the day is handy, but also maybe down in the bottom corner then have the psalm number. And that's my only real complaint. Going back to morning prayer, I just wanted to show, I mentioned they've updated the English a little bit, but not too much. And this is a good example. Here you see spare thou those. In the 1662, that's originally spare thou them. And so spare thou those is a little easier for us to understand and read. It still is very archaic, but spare thou them sounds very odd to our modern ears. That's an example of the sort of updating they've done. Very minor changes. And another example on the next page, our Father who art in heaven, that originally is our Father which art in heaven, who art being a little, I think to our ears, making more sense, still sounding like old English, more archaic English. Small changes. Some parts were more likely to be left alone than others. They, with rubrics, they would make more changes. With Psalms and poetry, they would be less likely to make changes. And here's an example, Psalm 34, I will always give thanks unto the Lord. Always sounds very strange to my modern ears, probably yours too. I might have expected them to make this, I will always give thanks, but I think they were much more conservative with changing the Coverdale Psalter than, say, the prayer services or the rubrics. So you do still have some words that may seem a bit odd. This is not a modern or contemporary edition by any means. But it's just really well laid out, a lot of room, easy to read. I think MAMO's been using this as his regular prayer book, and I can see why. It's a beauty, it really is. Now, I did have some issues with quality control, and that's why I have 3 of them. So this one is great. These 2 had some issues. The one the one I have now in my left hand is the first one I received, and I'll show you the kind of thing I'm talking about here. Look at the print there. You can see it's kind of got a drop shadow effect. That's not intentional. There's something that went wrong in printing. It's less noticeable towards the top of the page, and at the bottom, it's very, very noticeable. So I contacted IVP about that because this was a gift. I didn't have a receipt or anything, and they said they'd send me another one. They did. They sent this one, and unfortunately, it had the same problem in a different area. This time, this is in the Collex Epistles. Not as bad as the first one I showed you, but you can see a little bit of it right there. And so I reached out to them again, and they were just, let me tell you, their customer service was top-notch. Absolutely just wonderful, kind, and responsive. I really appreciated them. And they said, you know what? Okay, we're sorry. We were afraid that could happen. They weren't aware that this was a widespread issue, but they said the next one, we're going to open it, check it, make sure it's okay before we send it. And that's this one. And this one is great. This one still has the information on the back, so I'll just show that since that's available. But yeah, I appreciate them doing that. They just asked me to destroy those, so we will mark them. And if you buy something from IVP, if you need to reach out to them, you need help with something, by all means do. They were wonderful. Thank you guys and gals at IVP for all your help. But thank you, MAMO, for sending this to me. This is a really nice prayer book. It is available. It is in print. It's if you're interested in traditional prayer books in the Anglican tradition, you really couldn't go wrong to go with this one. Like I say, just check it very carefully after you get it. If you see any printing issues, return it to where you bought it from or reach out to IVP. And if you get a good one like this one, MAMO, the first one he bought for himself, No problems with it. I think it'll serve you well for many, many years to come. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed seeing it, found this informational, helpful, useful. Give me a like down below if you did. And if you have anything you'd like to share, please do so in the comments. If you'd love to see more of my videos, I invite you to subscribe. As always, I thank you for watching. God bless, and we'll see you for the next video.